Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching in Indiana and around the world. education.indiana.edu. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. The Radio and TV News Endowment, a fund established by listeners and viewers to sustain reporting of Indiana news. More information at indianapublicmedia.org/support. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The legislative session is over, but a huge question mark still looms over a number of bills that were up for consideration this year.
The Senate was prepared to do its work. We could have finished today very easily, but for the fact that there were some extremely difficult negotiations that delayed things.
Coming up, what passed, what didn't, and what's the likelihood we're headed towards a special session. Streams of students filed out of their classrooms this week to protest gun violence.
When you see 17 students standing there holding those posters, it really hits home as to how many people were harmed by this.
Ahead coverage from across the state, including school districts that chose to walk up instead of walk out. Plus, an expert joins us in studio to talk about what impact protests really have on changing gun policy. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, even lawmakers are using the word chaos to describe the final moments of this year's legislative session. Lawmakers had to adjourn at midnight Wednesday with many key bills still on the table. Our Statehouse reporter will join us in a few minutes to talk about the likelihood of a special session to work on some of the bills they didn't get to. But first, let's take a closer look at what passed this session and what didn't make it. There was visible exhaustion and frustration as the 2018 session adjourned just after midnight Wednesday.
There's 3 or 4 bills here that really needed to be worked on tonight, but we didn't get them done. It's unfortunate, but the Republic will survive.
Lawmakers worked up until their midnight deadline. Improving the state's job training and workforce development programs was supposed to be a major issue this session and the governor's stated #1 priority. At the 11th hour, lawmakers approved a workforce development package, but it was a watered-down version of what they originally proposed. One of the bills set up a study committee on the state's workforce climate, and the other reorganizes the board that oversees those programs. It also broadens eligibility requirements for some worker training funding. House Democrats say the bill doesn't do much to help workers in the state.
We've done a whole lot of talking about that, but we've not really done anything of any substance to try to make sure that our workers are better trained and our employment opportunities are better.
Lawmakers legalized cannabidiol, or CBD, as long as it has 0.3% or less THC. The bill also imposes labeling and testing requirements on those who manufacture or sell CBD oil, which some Democrats say are too restrictive.
Why so much regulation on a product that can't get you high, has few if any side effects, and has no toxic effect if it's overconsumed?
A law passed last year allowed those with a severe form of epilepsy to use the substance. This bill goes further, following an unexpected crackdown on CBD sales and widespread confusion over whether the product was actually legal. If the governor signs the bill, anyone will be able to use CBD legally. The governor says he supports a measure lawmakers approved that will ensure DACA recipients can get professional licenses from the state. The Indiana Professional Licensing Agency began denying licenses to those immigrants late last year to comply with the 2011 state immigration law. But backed by the Holcomb administration, lawmakers took steps to remedy that unintended consequence. Republican Ed Clear says the issue came to his attention after a graduate in his community had been denied a license.
this is life-changing for DACA participants who are affected, and it's also going to be a great benefit to Hoosier employers.
And a stopgap bill that will cover an unexpected shortage in public school funding is on its way to the governor's desk. It will provide up to $25 million this year, covering the gap caused by a spike in public school enrollment. The money would be transferred from reserve funds to the state general fund and then distributed to districts. Representative Sally Segrist says the legislation will also make money available for next year in case of another major shortfall.
The things that have changed are the ceilings for tuition support. They now are $25 million for fiscal year 2017-18 and $75 million for fiscal year 2018-19.
And the one final accomplishment this session will most be remembered for is the legalization of carry-out alcohol sales on Sundays.
This is just yet another example in a long list of examples where the state of Indiana has sought to and indeed modernized our laws to meet consumer expectation. I think we've not just met it, but we've exceeded it.
For the first time in Indiana's 201 plus years as a state, Hoosiers can buy alcohol at the store on Sunday. The governor sought to extend the legislative session to give lawmakers a chance to get to more bills, but legislative leaders question that move's legality. Almost immediately after the session adjourned, the finger-pointing began. Democrats accused the Republicans of doing very little of substance this year, and the Republican leaders of both chambers are blaming each other. So we'll bring on Brandon. You know, it seems like lawmakers usually adjourn early, sometime by a day or more. So what happened?
Well, it's not unusual for them to go right up to their midnight deadline. That happens more often than not. But what was very, very unusual this year is that bills died because they ran out of time. Now, why that happened depends a little on who you ask. As you mentioned, Speaker Brian Bosma mostly blames it on the Senate, while Senate Leader David Long says that lawmakers just couldn't agree on all those bills quick enough to get them done.
You know, we talked about the big issues that did pass this session, including workforce development, school funding, the DACA fix, Sunday sales. Are you surprised by some of the things that didn't make it through in time for the deadline?
One of those bills that died right at the deadline, I am surprised at, the school safety bill. This was done in the wake of the Parkland, Florida school shooting. It would have provided money to schools to make upgrades, but the mechanics of that bill were a little difficult to create, and that's, I think, what led to its dying at the last moment. Some of the other bills were controversial that died. A Muncie-Gary school takeover bill, the Democrats really hated that, while House and Senate Republicans couldn't really agree quickly enough on a bill to regulate the autonomous vehicle industry.
You know, I recall lawmakers going into this session saying there wasn't a big issue they thought they'd be debating. Is it really that unexpected that they don't have a lot of accomplishments to point to?
Well, they would argue that they have plenty of accomplishments, but no, if you listen to a lot of the rhetoric before session, it's not surprising that there wasn't maybe a signature issue of this session other than, of course, Sunday alcohol sales.
And Brandon, early in the session, we saw a hate crimes bill and a township bill fail. What happens next for these issues? Do you think they'll come up again next session?
Yeah, supporters of both of those issues say they're going to bring them back next year, but I don't know that I would put a lot of money on either one of them succeeding. Certainly, if you had to pick one that had a better chance, it's probably the township reform measure. And
what would have to happen for lawmakers to call a special session? Is that really a possibility here?
It's definitely a possibility, as Senator Long and Governor Holcomb left open that possibility, but it's really simple. The governor simply calls for a special session, and lawmakers have to file all their bills over again. They go through the whole process, but if there's a lot of agreement worked out ahead of time, it could theoretically only just be one day of session.
Okay, Brandon, rest up a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brosier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Demolition is scheduled to start Monday at a contaminated housing complex in East Chicago. The West Calumet housing complex was built on the site of a former lead smelter. 2 years ago, the city and the East Chicago Housing Authority ordered that more than 1,000 residents be relocated because of severe arsenic and lead contamination. The complex has been vacant for months after demolition, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency will be responsible for developing a plan to clean the site. In Indiana, a man who heads a white nationalist group is facing felony battery charges in Orange County. Paoli police arrested Matthew Heimbach earlier this week on charges of battery and strangulation. Heimbach founded the Traditionalist Workers' Party. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, the neo-Nazi group advocates for racially pure nations and communities. Heimbach will appear in Orange County Court March 26th. The latest county health rankings show where you live can have an impact on your health. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation publishes the report. It assesses all 92 Indiana counties. The rankings look at healthy behavior, environment, access to care, and social and economic factors. Distance to the nearest hospital or to a grocery store are examples of things researchers consider. Hamilton County lands in the top spot again for the 9th year. This year, Fayette County ranks at the bottom. And for the first time in 9 years, Scott County isn't ranked last for overall health outcomes in that report. This year, Scott County came in 91st out of 92 Indiana counties. The community gained nationwide attention for an HIV outbreak in 2015. Health officials say the data is proof efforts to improve health care since then are working.
It takes a lot of time, and sometimes people get impatient and they're like, you know, are you doing anything good? Are you doing anything good? But we are, and now we're starting to see some of that.
According to the county health rankings, the percentage of people uninsured in Scott County has improved since the outbreak. It dropped from a high of 17% to 11%, which is more in line with the statewide average. 3 seats on the Utilities District of Western Indiana Board are up for election, and they're all contested. There's been a spike in interest in the Rural Electric Co-op. The FBI is investigating UDWI, and former CEO Brian Sparks was fired amid claims of money mismanagement. In an effort to encourage transparency and increase member participation, the co-op is adding more voting options. Ratepayers can now vote online, by mail, or in person. They used to have to attend the annual meeting to vote. Protesters opposed to a bill that would dramatically increase penalties for a drug dealer if a person overdoses and dies made a strong showing this week outside the governor's office. Despite lawmaker support, they think the governor should veto the bill. As James Vavrick reports, the protesters worry it will do more harm than good.
Protesters played dead on the Statehouse floor in front of Governor Holcomb's office to represent the rate of overdose deaths occurring in the state.
My friends are dying, and their friends are dying, and we are dying. And the time we finish this event here, 12 people will have died. Okay? That is not acceptable.
Many activist groups came together to demand the governor veto legislation they say would further criminalize drug dealers while protecting other drug distributors like pharmaceutical companies.
People aren't going out to an anonymous drug dealer to get their drugs. Some people are, but a lot of people aren't. We're getting drugs from our neighbors, from our friends, from our family members, from our doctors.
Among the groups were the Indiana Recovery Alliance, Overdose Lifeline, and Hoosier Action. Representatives demanded to speak with either the governor or someone from his office. The group sent in representatives to speak to Holcomb.
Okay, so the governor won't talk to us. The governor won't even consider not signing this bill at this point.
If the governor does sign the bill, as he told the group, it will go into effect July 1st. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm James Vavrick.
Vico County officials are hosting a community forum to discuss an ongoing study of the county judiciary system. County officials approved a contract for the study in January after months of protests from citizens over a proposal for a new $62 million jail. The study seeks alternate solutions for overcrowding in the current facility. The meeting will take place March 20th at North Vigo High School. Congressman Todd Rokita won't participate in a Senate GOP primary debate next month. It will go on with the other candidates, Congressman Luke Messer and former state representative Mike Braun. The nonpartisan Indiana Debate Commission is hosting the debate. Rokita is the first candidate to skip one of the commission's debates in its 10-year history. The commission says Rokita's campaign cited scheduling conflicts and says Rokita will only participate in debates organized and moderated by conservative Republicans. The winner of the GOP primary will face Democrat Joe Donnelly in the general election. The state is launching a partnership to help people with addiction and mental health challenges. A new software platform will allow addiction treatment providers to connect people with available inpatient or residential treatment beds. FSSA Secretary Dr. Jennifer Wathel says addicts can seek a referral through the system by calling 211.
Of making sure that individuals can get to appointments or have medications that they can get to their pharmacy or have a place to sleep. Those sorts of things are almost as essential as the original treatment referral itself.
The state is using federal funds it received through the 21st Century Cures Act to pay for the software platform. So far, about 50 healthcare providers have joined the platform and more in the pipeline. And Georgia has hired Tom Crean as its head basketball coach. Crean was the head coach of the IU men's basketball team for 9 seasons. He was credited with rebuilding the team after the NCAA imposed sanctions on his predecessor, Kelvin Sampson. Crean led the Hoosiers to 3 Sweet 16 appearances and 2 Big Ten regular season titles. But last year, his Hoosiers lost in the national tournament opener, and IU fired Crean. And it's that time of year that all we're talking about is basketball,
Basketball.
Joe.
Good luck to Tom Crean over there in Georgia.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Students across the state protested gun violence this week, many holding signs saying things like, "Enough is enough." But what impact will their protest really have on policy? Coming up, a Second Amendment expert joins us and explains why she's hopeful. And major renovations of a new location for Vigo County's History Museum will help bring nostalgic moments to life. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
$10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Students across the country participated in the first of several protests planned in response to recent gun violence. This week's National School Walkout came exactly 1 month after the school shooting in Parkland, Florida, that left 17 people dead. As Barbara Brozier reports, the protest has many districts grappling with how to encourage activism while still keeping kids safe.
As an assembly took place inside North Vigo High School, a large group of students stood outside in silence.
The assembly was more for a memorial, but this is more of a political issue, and we know that the school can't get involved in that, so we had to do it outside.
Their signs include the names of victims of last month's Parkland, Florida shooting, and messages that the violence must stop.
We need more gun regulations. These people just can't keep, this just can't keep happening.
The students stood in a designated area outside of the school after reaching a compromise with administrators. The superintendent says it was about keeping students safe. They were allowed to walk out, but would face a 2-hour detention. The students say it was worth it, and theirs was one of more than 3,000 organized walkouts across the country this week. Some students from Indianapolis Public Schools walked out of class into the War Memorial downtown.
We're trying to make sure that kids are able to go to school and feel safe instead of going to school and feeling like something's going to happen to them.
A bit further north, about 800 North Central High School students signed a petition saying they would participate in the walkout. They're demanding stricter gun laws, saying school should be a place where they feel safe.
You're walking in to school from the parking lot and you're worried and you're looking around, and we shouldn't have to do that. Like, if school is something that we need to go to, it should be a low-risk activity.
Some schools went a different route and offered students other options. Administrators met with kids from Beech Grove schools and agreed to let them plan a walk-in instead of leaving the building.
So by walking in, we still made sure everyone was safe, it was more organized, and we were able to really spread our thoughts and our ideas.
While it was short, students got the opportunity to ask city leaders and law enforcement questions about school safety.
I can't emphasize enough to you kids that you have to speak what is on your mind.
And in the rural town of Bloomfield, students focused on walking up instead of walking out.
I challenged students to find 14 other students and 3 adults to walk up to on March 14th and say something nice in honor of those who died in Parkland, Florida. All of us need to make this concerted effort every day, starting today.
Student leaders here organized a school assembly and honored victims of the Parkland shooting with empty chairs symbolizing the loss.
In just a few moments of terror, 17 people lost their lives. This could happen here. All of these people could be gone in an instant.
Organizers purposely tried to avoid politics by focusing the presentation on how they could have the most immediate impact. It's something educators are thinking about too.
The shooter most of the time feels isolated, left out, alone. So are we doing everything that we have control of? We may not have control of what the legislators, vote, but we can be kind. We can try to include people. And we can look out for each other.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
There's another nationwide protest called March for Our Lives. It's next Saturday. In addition to a march in Washington, D.C., several sister marches are planned throughout the country to demand an end to school shootings. Here in Indiana, people plan to march at the Statehouse. IU Maurer School of Law professor Jody Madeira joins us now to talk just a little bit more about what this impact could have on gun laws. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, as we said, students came out all over the state in force this week. Does this have an impact? I mean, are policymakers watching this?
I think they are, and we don't tend to think of student protests as having much of an impact. They often get buried underneath other types of activism, but this is something fairly unprecedented, and I think many media reports I've seen say that the scale and the size of these protests have actually not been seen since the Vietnam War. And they're a way of certainly sustaining the momentum that came about after Parkland. And after gun shootings in the past, this tended to die out fairly soon, within 2 or 3 weeks. But I think it also may inspire other adults to take part because students need adults. They can't vote, even though they might be able to vote in the midterms, but they really can really serve as a source of energy and momentum. So I think, yes, it will actually have quite an impact.
You talked about those in the past. Mm-hmm. People have been doing this. What makes this one different from mm-hmm. other types of protests?
Well, I mean, you think about protests like Black Lives Matter or Day Without Immigrants, and those were really limited to big cities. They didn't seem really national in scope. Schools avoided them because they were controversial. But here you see these types of protests in many different schools, in many different types of schools, ranging from the big cities all the way down to the rural communities. And they come at a time when many lawmakers are taking steps to loosen gun restrictions. So I think they add extra oomph to the whole movement. And really, there's a sense of idealism and energy where these students are not willing to accept the status quo. And I think that, again, just infuses more energy into the movement. And politicians have to stand up and take notice.
Yeah, we have time for one more question. Mm-hmm. What do you see happening now in Indiana mm-hmm. in terms of legislation moving forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully we've seen a pretty rocky session, and hopefully, the momentum behind these messages from both students and adults alike will cause legislators to really question what types of bills they put forward, to really think about what school safety means. For example, they had one gun bill this year that would have ultimately reduced lifetime permits to a free permit available to everyone, stripping tens of millions of dollars for law enforcement safety. That's not something we really need.
Okay, we'll have to see. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. The Vigo County History Center's new home should be ready by the end of the year. The museum's new location is just blocks away from Indiana State University and Terre Haute's dining and retail space. Now, Terre Haute is known as the birthplace of the Coca-Cola bottle, so the museum will replicate a bottling line reminiscent of the original company.
That building had windows in the front, and the local people remember standing in front of those windows and watching the bottles go by on the bottling line.
And the campaign just has about them $1 million away from their fundraising goal. And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching in Indiana and around the world. education.indiana.edu. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. The Radio and TV News Endowment, a fund established by listeners and viewers to sustain reporting of Indiana news. More information at indianapublicmedia.org/support. And by WTIU members. Thank you.